What's up, guys? Reggie here, back at it again, and I'm excited because I have a really good topic that a lot of you are gonna pretty much relate, and that is why you become desensitized to your fragrances, right? So I'm gonna give my most honest take and opinions, like always. So, and how you can fix this. So yeah, the number one thing is the biggest cause of this is you wear the fragrance too often. And I know this might seem very weird to use, like, what do you mean? Fragrances are meant to be worn, right? And it's true, but that is also the reason why you become desensitized to that smell. You spray it daily or however you want to spray it, and which causes your whole, brain to recognize the smell, so it's no longer something new. And people usually will find out about this and will notice these patterns like a month after wearing it. So yeah, if you get like a new fragrance, for example, it could be this one or just any fragrance, and you absolutely love it, and you go a full month of just wearing it, just so you know, you'll get to that point where you become super desensitized, where you no longer feel that excitement to smell the scent. And yeah, the next thing is overspraying the fragrance, trying to compensate for the loss of that you don't smell it. When you do that, it's like, think about it this way. When you take meds for I don't know, some sort of headache or muscle pain, for example, if you take some sort of like Tylenol, which is like 1500 or something like that, and you're used to that, and it'll usually get rid of your pain like in 1 hour. And when you lower the dose of it to like 800 or something like that, you're gonna find out and you're gonna realize, like, damn, it's actually not that strong. It doesn't really have an effect on me. And that's pretty much what also happens to the whole sense of smell. You become so super desensitized to taking a higher dose that when you bring it down, it's so light that you feel like you even got ripped off, or maybe that Macy's or Sephora or Ulta Beauty gave you a fake, right? And it'll result to people thinking that way. And then another thing is, which causes you to pretty much start losing interest in fragrances, and this has happened to so many people. For example, I was actually reading a comment of someone that was wearing this one, and I know that this is a very famous um, fragrance brand and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a very strong fragrance, and when you basically kind of just wear that fragrance, and not just that one, but just the fact that you can get this fragrance desensitized so fast says a lot. Like, if you spray it, or for some people you have some sort of like drier skin and it doesn't really perform that well, or it doesn't last, which is also another factor. But the biggest factor is overspraying a fragrance. If you spray this bad boy like 10 times and you reduce it to like 3 to 4, you're not gonna even be able to tell any difference. And that's like what happens. Like I said, you think that you don't like that the fragrance is gone, even if you spray like 3 to 4 times. You think that the fragrance is like completely like vanished, but that's not the case. Like, it's still pumping hard. The only thing that changes, you're the one that changed. Your whole your brain's pattern of recognizing the fragrance has become pretty much like a muscle memory. Like, you know exactly how it smells in the beginning and in the middle and at the end. So yeah, like I said, especially like if you take those higher doses of fragrances, where you just like spray it to be able to get it to smell more. And that's why it's another of the reasons why I've known so many people that just overspray it. And I asked them, like, why do you do that? And these were some of my old co-workers, and they just told me because it doesn't smell anymore. And I was like, yeah, it does, and I can still smell it from like so far away. And they were just like, really? And they were just like, and I was just like, yeah. So that's pretty much what happens. So if you spray a fragrance between, but another thing is like it depends on the concentration. If it's like an EDT, yeah, of course you're gonna spray a bit a bit more, because those tend to be a like lighter concentration of oil. But yeah, now you get the the whole thing of it. But yeah, and then the last thing is system overload, which is senses get crazily overwhelmed by the amounts of hype fragrances coming, from like those big creators. Um, like, and then you start questioning, are these even like that good, or, stuff like that. And then, which, like I said, just kind of gets people even more desensitized to the whole fragrance stuff, because they feel like I just bought some some big amounts of money for this smelly water or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of pretty much like some of the reasons why you become desensitized, and how can you fix that. And I know this is hard and kind of weird to say, but honestly, stop dealing a fragrance. Like, if you wear a fragrance daily, you'll pretty much kind of get to that point where you'll um, become super desensitized by it. And that's why, like I've mentioned before in my videos, um, I think the perfect amount of, to sit at of owning fragrances is like 10, because you get like a pretty good versatility of fragrances that you can get. But if you only have like two fragrances, if you only have like two freshies, it's fine. Those usually are just lighter scents. And if you get like a higher concentration of a fragrance, it doesn't matter. You'll be able to pick that up even more. For example, for me, it was this one. I used to daily this thing back like 2018, and I would just daily it. And I got to the point where I started realizing, like, damn, like, is this thing like fake? Is it weak? Because I can't even smell it. But then, of course, I remember one time I sprayed it like the same amount of time, and just people, some of the people like around me were complaining that it was. They asked me like if I sprayed the whole bottle. But yeah, you kind of get a pretty good idea on that. And the next thing is, do not overspray the fragrances, because that's a faster way to desensitize from the fragrances. And this can happen with either concentration, like an eau de toilette, an EDP, or just a parfum. But yeah, it usually kind of just happens with the higher concentrations, because, for example, if you own a lot of the higher concentrations, like, for example, this one, or even this one that's an elixir. This is really strong, by the way. When you switch to your typical eau de toilettes, you're gonna find them even weaker. That's one of the things I have noticed personally. Of course, everybody's different, but that's like a type of personal me thing that I have kind of just figured out. And I know like some of you might agree with me, and some of you might not. But yeah, like I said before, and I know like I already repeated that, but I think having between 10 to 15 fragrances is like a really good place to sit at, because you can get access to dupes, designers, even some niche if you can afford them, right? And you'll have so many types of choices, whether they're citrusy, fresh, clean, aromatic, spicy, gourmand, sweet, fruity, elegant, oriental, woody. It doesn't matter. You'll get a pretty good amounts of variety. That way you have enough time to kind of just be switching it up, the fragrance maybe like every 2 days. That's what I'll usually do. But yeah, for example, when I bought this fragrance, Black Tie for Men by Jeremy Fragrance, I kind of didn't really like it, but then it just really grew on me a lot, and I actually really do love this fragrance. But I don't really wear that much. I wear this maybe like once or twice a month. Why? Because I don't want to become desensitized. I really don't want to have my nose kind of already be like, already smelled that. No, like that's why, that's like my personal type of thing that I do to keep it more fresh. You know, keep my nose like, oh yeah, I miss that smell. So whenever I smell this, you know, but like I guess like we all have different types of fragrances that we just kind of love coming back to. But yeah, and then the last thing is try to step back a little or a whole lot, depending who you watch, from those big sellout, overly biased creators, because they don't help either. Because you see that every single fragrance review is a masterpiece, is a beast mode, is this, it's that, it's a compliment getter. You'll have some sort of intercourse with whatever, right? You'll get your crush to notice you, and that's another one of the things that kind of feeds into that system, you know, overload of just seeing too much crap, right? And you know, it kind of even makes you a bit anxious, like, why isn't this, you know, getting me some sort of compliments? If you mostly wear fragrances just for the compliments, that's fine. We all have different types of reasons why we, you know, wear fragrances, and just buy them overall. But yeah, try to stay back because they're just kind of just hurting. Um, well, not they're kind of just hurting. They are the reason why the whole, you know, community is kind of just very split. And another reasons why you might be super indecisive of whether or not you should buy that fragrance. So I mean, and I'm not trying to like sound like, oh, come watch me and subscribe and just, you know, give me clout or anything. If you can find some other creators that are relatively around the same size, that's really good. And as long as you find always someone that you can resonate with, and that is like the most beautiful thing. And if you find, you know, me to be that person, then I am very, you know, happily, and I really do, and I do really do love that, because I really do love connecting with you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. If I missed something, like always, I'll put it in the description below. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section, because I love reading you guys' thoughts and opinions on this, whether you agree or disagree. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.